correct in saying that the focus of this presentation is to provide us with an update on the Emerald Trail. Some of you are already familiar with the Emerald Trail, but one of the things that makes this especially special, I guess, if you will, is the fact that Kay is delivering it to us. Kay has quite a impressive background. One of the things that, since we're all volunteers, that you may find particularly noteworthy about her, she was what I think for us, an 11-year stint, you were on the RAP, the Riverside Emmondale Preservation Society board. And for 3 years of that, I think you were the president. And it was interesting. I noted that during your stint, I think it said you all planted as many as 1,000 trees. In the Riverside Avondale area, which is very impressive in and of itself. And then the Riverside Avondale Preservation, well, the market was started during that time period as well. But I've heard you present before, but it's a type thing that you have a lot of background with the city, and you spent, I think, what I would say 15 years, is that correct? Working in the city. And I think that one thing that if any of us have observed, that's a particularly valuable experience, especially if you want to learn how to operate and get things done in the city. And I think if I recall correctly, it was with the county, the property appraiser department. Was that under Jim Overton?
Yeah, I was his council aide for his last year on council, which was invaluable.
Yeah.
And then when he was property appraiser.
Yeah. All right. And then you became the CEO of Groundwork Jackson 2017. And I think all of you here tonight probably are familiar with the progression of the Emerald Trail from, what was it, the early stages, just a concept, was it not? And then it started taking shape through plans and designs, and then I would have to say it's just been very impressive how the Groundwork Jackson team has assembled all the money, or a lot of the money needed to get it very started. So I think without further ado, I'll turn it over to Kay. And thank you so much, Kay.
Absolutely. And before I get started, I just want to thank the Sierra Club and especially Bill for helping us with cleanups on the S line. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Bill. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So the Emerald Trail is absolutely a public-private partnership. It wouldn't be happening without Groundwork Jacksonville, who's the private partner, and we couldn't actually get it built without government funds. So the partnership is working really well. Basically, what Groundwork does is leads planning, design, and community engagement. And then the city and in the future, the JTA will manage construction. And then we'll share maintenance responsibility. So this number may not be right anymore, but the city has committed $208 million to date for the Emerald Trail, and Groundwork has brought in 21 million. So I always say that if you can get 10% paid by the private sector and 90% by the government sector, that's a really good deal for the private sector. And that's what we're looking for, is about 10% of the project to come in privately. Just this past, I would say 4 months, we've secured $2 million more for trail design. Yay! We got $1 million from Wayne and Dolores Weaver, 500,000 from Baptist Health, and another 500,000 from the Cox Foundation out of Atlanta. Oh. So in March of 2019 is when the city council adopted our Emerald Trail Master Plan. And over the 4 years, this is what 40% of the project is underway. 40% in 4 years. Again, because of the private sector. So what you see here is the yellow is constructed. So this is the shared use path that the FDOT did that joins Riverside and San Marco. And then this part of the San Marco loop is done. The orange is what's under construction. So this is the La Villa Link, the first trail segment that should be done by March. And then this is McCoy's Creek. So this part is under construction. I'll talk about this. This will be under construction by the fall. And then the outfall right here is under construction now. And then the city is doing the skateboard park and the Emerald Trail underneath the Fuller Warren Bridge is under construction right now. And then we are, this number 2 is almost finished being designed. This is Hogan's Creek, which is under design. And then we just started the design of the Riverside Link, which is segment 3. So we're making good progress. So this is a little lake. This is in front of the Prime Osborne. It was a sea of concrete. These pictures aren't even the latest, you guys. I mean, we can't keep up because a lot of the landscaping's in now, but here is where you had a 4-lane divided bridge that is now taken down to 2 lanes of car traffic over here. And this entire side is the La Villa, is the trail. And it's, when you get on there, it's huge. Like, it's going to be a major place for events. I'm really pretty sure. And then you can just see we're just landscaping up, like all of this. We could cut out on each end of the bridge, so we're able to add trees and landscaping. And this is just a closer look at this. This hasn't even been smoothed out, and this is already planted. It's just amazing. It's coming together. So this, if you're not familiar with it, this is based, Lee Street between Bay and Forsyth. It was 5 lanes, 5-lane road. So here we've taken it down to 2 travel lanes so that we moved the curb so we could have trees on both sides of the trail. And then the median is going to be planted as well. So this is what it will look like. This is what it looks like today. Well, except it's got more planting. And this is just an overview of taking that 5-lane road down to 2 travel lanes. This is parking. That's striped for parking. So it's a major transformation. This is owned by the city, and the DIA intends to develop it. It may be University of Florida, but there's 3 locations they're considering. So this is the Lee Street retention pond. We're now calling it the Lee Street Pond. This was the rendering. This is the overlook starting to take shape. And then this just shows the boardwalk leading up to this overlook. This area is not done yet. This is a huge bioswale in the Florida Dwight Park. It is now planted. It's looking pretty good. And there's a bunch of oak trees on both sides of the trail in this park. And then this is Hogan Street. So if you're familiar with Hogan Street, it's 2 lanes, 1-way road. We're removing 1 entire lane for a 2-way cycle track with pedestrians over here. It's at 60% design. It's now going to design build to actually finish the design and construct it, so it'll get done sooner. This is at Hogan and Ashley, where we're planning to move from this side to this side of the trail, of the street, so that we can line up with Rosa Parks. And then this is State Street. So, State Street's all about cars. FSEJ is allowing us to move the fence behind the landscaping that's there right now. So we'll be able to get trees on both sides of that trail on State Street. And then the McCoy's Creek project. So this is the section that is under construction right now. You guys, this is the project I'm most proud of, because the city was going to close the street and let it flood. Then they were going to widen it somewhere here, like typical not ecologically widening it. They weren't even doing the headwaters. So we asked to design it. They said, okay, but we're not going to guarantee we're accepting your design, but they did accept our design. So this is under construction, and the creek restoration part should be done by October of this year. This is Groundworks project. So the city wasn't going to take it on. Again, this sits within 30-acre Hollybrook Park. This neighborhood used to have major recreational amenities, tennis courts, basketball courts, all taken away for retention ponds that didn't solve the flooding problem. So we felt we just had to take this on, right? Number one, to restore the creek within this park and then bring recreation back to a neighborhood that had it taken away from them. And then this part right here, the outfall, is now under construction, and that's with that one Riverside development that's happening down there. The development is over here. The trail will be next to it, the creek, and then there's room for a park. Now, there's not enough room to make this a natural channel, so it will have seawalls here. So this is phase one under construction. You guys, do you see those meanders? It's beautiful. It's beautiful in terms of what it used to look like, just a straightened, hardened channel. So it's just so cool to see this thing taking shape. This is another city retention pond next to the creek that when they drained it to redevelop it, they found a van from the 1960s in there, but there were no dead bodies in it. So that was good. The cool thing about this is that the water is going underneath this boardwalk, and then it goes through this green infrastructure. And then before it gets to the creek, it's going through a step pool channel, which is 3 different levels of rocks and green infrastructure. So it continues to clean itself before it gets to the actual creek. And there's a pathway around here, and we've planted a living shoreline, and the community is using this, because you'll go, when we give tours, sometimes you'll find chairs out there, so they're enjoying it. And I'm really glad we could do a small project, because creek construction's ugly before it's pretty, so at least they have something that's pretty while that's happening. Hogan's Creek, we finished the 30% design. That's the video I'm going to show you. We've secured, I think it's $8.3 million to fully design it to 100%. Almost $6 million from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, almost $3 million from NOAA. So that is now underway, and that design should be complete in 2025. And then this is the Riverside link. So this, from Ram to Memorial Park, the Rotary Clubs of Jacksonville are sponsoring it, and they're giving us a donation for that. This is Dolores Barr Weaver is naming this one. This is the section that the Parks Department is working on now. And then we've started this design. We pulled together a Riverside Avenue stakeholder group, Cummer Museum, the Garden Club, Memorial Park, Riverdale Inn, the folks that this matters to them because that's where they are. Oh, and Riverside Avenue Preservation because of RAM. And we're designing with them. We have each of their master plans, so we're making sure everything fits. And we've added Post Street, where the heck Post Street is. Let's pretend it's here. So Post Street from Riverside Avenue to the river is a city project that's in the out years. So we have taken it on to design it as part of our project, which made Jimmy Palooza, our district council person, like me even more. And then it's consistent, anyway. And then, so just some of the other work we're doing, we really believe that, well, the city doesn't do maintenance well, and they especially don't do green infrastructure maintenance well. So we're going to be entering into an agreement with the city to split maintenance responsibility, and we see ourselves taking care of the green infrastructure. So we decided that we wanted to hire people that live in the urban neighborhoods, train and certify them in horticulture and landscape maintenance to work for us. Number one, that's creating jobs, for poor neighborhoods. It's also continuing our desire to have community stewardship, right? That we're all in this together. Their jobs are close to where they live. So we have hired our first two out of that training program, and we've also brought on board an Emerald Trail Steward Manager who happens to be an arborist as well. The other thing we're doing in so what I say is harder to do than build a trail is to prevent displacement of long-term residents. So our vision is that long-term residents get to remain and prosper. So this is the McCoys Creek neighborhood that we've been working with for 5 years. We help them develop a 10-year neighborhood vision. They prioritize 4 areas in that plan: housing, history and culture, environmental stewardship, and economic opportunity, with housing being the priority. So they developed a home repair program. We are the fiscal sponsor. So this organization, North Riverside Community Development Corporation, is all volunteers. It isn't at a place in its growth to handle a lot of this stuff. So we're serving as their fiscal sponsor. So we raised 1.2 million to repair 46 homes. And we write the checks. They have a case, they hired a case manager, a construction manager, but we pay those folks. And so we've almost completed 23 homes, which was our goal for year 1. And then we'll do the next 23 this year. And we're also, so part of this was a grant through Groundwork USA from the Jeff Bezos Earth Fund, is that we're doing cool roofs, gutters, and rain spouts, connecting them to rain gardens to also help with climate impacts.
You mentioned that you loved the way the water meandered. Can you explain to people why that matters?
Yes. So creeks naturally meander, and meandering controls flow, and it controls sediment. Like it puts the sediment kind of where it needs to be. And so if you do natural channel design and you do it right, it's going to grow stronger and more stable over time. So you don't have to dredge, because again, the way you're doing it makes it all just keep working.
Right.
Does that make sense? I'm not I only know through osmosis this stuff, right? Like I am not the
You're doing a good job. And you're using a lot of native plants. You've told us
Oh
that
yeah.
too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For
Well,
the
let me
most
just
part, it's
say
all native plants.
You've absorbed through osmosis quite well. So
Yeah.
you're speaking with authority.
That's amazing.
Wow. So
Right,
Kay, they have to
unmute
take out that
yourself,
whole
Kay.
ugly seawall that's there in the old Clutho Park and everything. All that's got to come out, right? So it's going to be a natural wetlands area there.
Yep. And
Yep.
what we're gonna do,
Oh,
there was
incredible.
some pushback from Springfield on, because they think well, I mean, it is a historic site. Although I will argue that natural creeks were here before.
Well, they were.
Before
Right.
we boxed them in.
So what?
Clutho put that in because to stop the
Yeah,
flooding in the area.
exactly. Yeah. So what we're gonna do though is either reuse or recreate the balustrades and have them on one side of the trail. But
Uh-huh.
not just do it, because once you go from Springfield into East Side, they had not so fancy balustrades, right?
Yeah.
It's white and black, and so we're gonna carry it the whole way.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're also, they are now kind of starting to design, like we're gonna be replacing pedestrian bridges and that sort of thing. And so they're recreating the design. So they'll look like the old historic features.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
All right, are you at a stage, Kay, where are you wrapped up and you want to start entertaining questions, or do you still have other segments of your presentation you want to complete?
I'm good.
All right, and so that's a signal that we can start opening it up for questions. And Lisa, did anybody type in any questions or make any comments in the chat?
Yeah, we don't have anything in the chat, so people
right.
can just
So
raise their
you
hand.
have the floor. You have the first dibs on questions then.
I'm 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 just so impressed. I can't tell you, Kay. It's amazing what y'all have done in such a short time. And I'm just so excited. Thank you.
All right, since there were none typed in, and why don't we jump to Barbara's question, or the point that Barbara brought up earlier, and maybe you can address that.
Yeah, well, like I said, if you guys want to find out who from Sierra Club would like to do a tour, that we'll actually schedule one for you. And what we're showing right now are the two projects under construction, which is the La Villa Link and McCoy's Creek.
I think that would be really wonderful. Could I ask another question, Kay? Signage is so important, and I'm wondering, I mean, I must admit, it's crossed my mind that I would like to walk some of the trail that the tuk-tuk thing took us. It wasn't a tuk-tuk, but whatever took us. And it would be so nice, even if it's temporary signage, to kind of indicate which sections are the trail if people do want to walk parts of it.
Well, the trail, the La Villa Link will have signage on it, but and we will we'll make a map that identifies where people can park. Like we'll do all that before we open it.
Okay, that would be really great, because we can all walk right now on the S line from the top or from the southern part, but I think some of us are just anxious to discover more parts of the trail, so it would be great if we could do that.
Well, really, the only one is, the S line rail trail exists today, and then the La Villa Link will be done soon, and that's really all there is. Well, other than the shared use path. I'm going to show you the signage. I'm going to give you some examples of signage. Maybe I'm not done, Logan. Well, I mean, as things come up, I can share, but let me answer this question that was in the chat.
A couple questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Mary, yeah. Can I read
it?
it to everybody, Kay?
Yeah.
Mary is interested. She's asking about Clutho Park, disc golf, and walking paths, and how those can continue. And secondly, how will the city police keep the trail safe for walkers?
So we're going to have to move some disc golf holes, but the entire disc golf, however many holes are, will still be there. So we are accommodating that. And we are maintaining the same amount of park space in Clutho Park as exists today. We're gonna have to relocate the baseball field, but it'll still be there, if that answers your question. And then the trail will go through the entire area, so that will be a walking path. And then,
Her follow-up was, how will
Yeah.
the police keep it safe?
yeah, so I don't know yet about that. We have not encountered any issues in any of these neighborhoods, and we're out there all the time. I would never, even in my own neighborhood, walk at night by myself, right? I think you just have to be smart about that. What they've found with studies is that trails improve safety because you have more eyes on the ground. But we're gonna be looking at all that, and we're pulling together a safety committee, and JSO will be on that. So we're gonna start, it's just that this whole thing it's like all of a sudden we have a trail segment done and we're still trying to build all these others, and we gotta move to activation. I'm like, oh my God. So we're gonna be pulling that committee together very, very soon to figure that out.
And Bill Armstrong asks, you didn't mention the Norwood section. What's up with that? We pick trash up there.
So that's the S-Line Rail Trail. So the S-Line Rail Trail that exists today, the northern section goes all the way up to the Norwood Shopping Center. And that exists today. And then in the middle, between the southern and northern sections is a section that's not finished, which is our segment 4 that we're going to be doing, which is next after the Riverside Link. And then the other thing that we're working with the city on is how we can start improving the S-Line. So the city's really focusing right now on the southern portion. So we now have a landscape architect on board, plus the arborist, and they came up with a tree plan that they presented to the city, and the city really likes it. It's really it's biodiversity in terms of all different kinds of trees. So they're making some improvements on their southern part right now. But what I know is unless we hire a firm to design it for us, not that the trail has to be designed because the trail exists today, but where do amenities go? What else do we want to add to it? To really make it part of the Emerald Trail. Unless you actually have that design, it's not going to get implemented. So that's something on our radar, to actually hire a firm to look at all of that for us.
And then Cheryl asks you, will there be designated parking areas at specific trailheads for those that will travel by car to get there?
Yes. So on, there's going to be 2 trailheads on McCoy's Creek, and there'll be parking at both of those. There isn't a designated trailhead yet for the La Villa Link, except there's a section I'm talking to the city about that currently is 1 block of the S-Line between Myrtle and State. That's not going to be used. It's not where we're connecting. So we think we can make that a trailhead. But there's also, that huge dirt lot that I said the DIA wants to develop that at maybe University of Florida. People can park there for now. So we're going to designate where people can park.
And we would go to your website to learn those things.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Kay. All the depictions of the pathway of the Emerald Trail typically show it going, or part of the South Bank being included in the overall design. Now, is the activities or the things planned for the South Bank fall under another authority other than Groundwork Jacks, or is that all part included in Groundwork Jacks' sphere of responsibility?
So the city's been doing that part.
Okay.
And I don't really want to claim it because it's not that great.
Okay, well, you've answered my question.
I hope there's nobody from the city on here. Yeah. San Marco was really hard for, so we hired the Path Foundation out of Atlanta to help us with the master plan. They've got, at this point, 30 years of experience in trail planning, design, and construction. And San Marco was tough, right?
Yeah.
There's parts of it that still aren't done yet that have some potential. But I don't know if Boyer's gonna let us kind of take it on. I think Boyer and the city are working on that.
Okay,
So-
well, that's helpful to know.
Logan,
Barbara?
this is Barbara again. So this is a follow-up to that question. It's been some while since I walked across Fuller Warren Bridge. When I did and got onto the San Marco side, there was quite a bit of kind of navigating, using my Google Maps or whatever to figure out how I worked my way around to Main Street Bridge. And again, signage would be so helpful there to figure out how to get around there. And that's, I mean, for people who are uncertain about that, that might put them off kind of walking that bridge rather than just, because it's nice to do the circle, and it would be good to be able to figure out how to get to the Main Street Bridge
But I
from
think,
the
but that was the point is probably that's out of Kay's
City.
area of responsibility, and it falls under Joe Carlucci's going to have to probably get involved in that to make sure that those people who do navigate over there have proper signage and that type of thing. So part of my curiosity for asking is I'm also on the San Marco Preservation Society board, and it's a topic I can bring up that it is something where maybe we need other people to get involved in trying to promote those types of things, Barbara.
That would be great, Logan, because if you wait for Carlucci to do it, we'll all be 6 feet under by the time it happens.
Well, Joe's trying. He's go ahead.
So I do think that the DIA and the DuPont Fund are looking at doing signage for those bridge walks. So that may already be happening, and I can mention that again.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think they're working on that.
In case, since nobody else has a question at this second, can I just ask about upkeep and dead trees and replacements and keeping it up that way? How is that going to be done? Will that be the city or?
The green infrastructure is going to be us.
Okay.
So on the La Villa link, the contractor is required to do maintenance for a year. But I'll tell you that, I have really high standards. And so, it shouldn't be called the model project. It's really the project you're learning how to make the next one better from, because it's your first one, So there's some areas I want to go back and fix, but our arborist and landscape architect, they went to the tree farms and the plant farms and identified to make sure that we were getting good stuff. They found that the subcontractor that was doing the landscaping wasn't planting the trees properly. So they got them to start doing that properly. And then train the city's inspector on how to, what are you looking for? So I'm telling you, the only folks I trust is Groundwork Jacksonville to make sure we're going to get it done right. So, yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that, because everywhere you look, they're dying. And so that's really good to know.
Where are they dying? You mean on the trail?
Well, it's not Groundworks trees. I'm talking about when contractors or a company who's having to meet
the other
standards.
thing we're going to do is, I don't know if you've heard about that commercial composting business that's now in Jacksonville, Sunshine Organics or something.
Yeah,
we visited them.
We visited
So
them.
our two staff went out there too, and we're going to, in the next bid contract, we're going to require composting be added to the soil.
Yes,
Wow,
it has to be.
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be. And I'm kicking myself that it's not something we didn't think about for this first
the
one.
soil in that area is
Sucks.
really, really corrupted or whatever you want to say about it.
Yeah.
For some of you who are, we don't see your videos. If you have a question, maybe you can unmute yourself and
Well, Logan,
and identify yourself.
June has a comment. She'd like to say thanks for the great presentation. It would be wonderful if there could be a video tour so those who are unable to take a walking tour could see what's happening.
Like an aerial, like from up above?
Yeah, some way they could see what's going on.
And you
Because
might
they-
even get somebody with a GoPro camera or something, go through there and narrate certain sections of it. And
It's a great
Um,
question.
so it's a type thing where, yes, some people who are unable to come to a tour might be able to kind of vicariously go on a tour in a virtual tour.
That's great.
Okay, do we have other questions for Kay? And well, if not, I just want to say it's just so impressive all you've done for so many years, and I know that you'll kind of react to my use of the word that you've done, but it's under your leadership, and I know that you are proud of your Groundwork Jacks team and all they're doing. But I just want to say we're so appreciative of you taking out the time to come and share this with us tonight. It's very helpful, and we would like to, as a Sierra Club, take you up on that offer of a tour. And not only that, we would like to, where we can, collaborate with you all to help advance the cause of the Emerald Trail.
Okay, can I show you the signage real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
It's not all of it, but it'll give you a taste of it. So this is, this is a history sign about La Villa, and there'll be one of Brooklyn on the bridge. These are kind of our environmental education signage, right? So what's a rain garden and then this is going to be a 3D one at the foot of the Park Street Bridge at the beginning of the La Villa Link. That's Baptist is going to be on here. Isn't it cool? It's 3D.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Mhm.
I think that was the only, yeah, that's the only one we got. And then there's also going to be wayfinding signage.
Well,
It's just
Could I
amazing.
make a comment with a little question at the beginning?
Yeah.
I was on a tour of that North Riverside area along McCoy's Creek that you're developing now, where you showed the pictures of the meandering creek and the redevelopment there going out to the west. And I don't remember the name of the woman who took us on that tour. But
Gloria McNair.
yeah, I believe it's her, and she was very involved in that neighborhood. And she gives a particular kind of a tour. She had a little, kind of a programming name for it, like Walks and Talks or something like that.
Wait, was it about the watershed plan?
It was really a tour of the neighborhood, and that's
Okay.
what I wanted to comment on, because it was talking about the neighborhood, it was talking about the work that was done, but really from the point of view of the residents of that area.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about the home repair program, et cetera, and so on. Do you know what I'm referring to, or is that just something she made up that day for us? I was going with the zoo and the advanced inquiry program.
Yeah, no, I do know what you're talking about. Are you saying that that's what you'd like to do?
I just was totally impressed, and it gave me, I mean, we've been involved with Groundwork Jacks and the development of this trail for years now, and maintaining the S line, et cetera, and just waiting with great anticipation for these new sections of the trails to be open so we can take people out on those trails too. But I never got the insight into what you're doing like I did touring with this.
Yeah.
And the just conversations we had with the neighbors. There were people out in their yards, and she knew everybody.
Mhm.
And it really showed me, and I knew that because we work with the green team, and all that. I knew how the foundation of what you do is to work from the ground up, from the people who live along this trail, not the people maybe who necessarily fund the trail, but the people who are going to be right on the trail. you know, and what that all means to the the sustainability of this trail. And the question about safety, I think, as well. You know, if the community that is next to, adjacent to these trails, does not accept the trail, you know, and does not use the trail and benefit by the trail, it's going to be, it's going to be just an empty
Well,
corridor like everywhere else.
we
in
will
the
have
city.
failed. We will have failed if
Yes.
that's the case,
And
which is why we work with neighborhoods, and we will
Yeah.
always we will be in those neighborhoods forever.
And that's just,
Wow.
to me, key. And I just wanted to bring that point out. And what an impressive job you're doing. This particular woman in particular, who did the visioning plan with those folks in those neighborhoods.
Yep.
And they were real with us. It was like, you know, they'd tell us when they think something doesn't work, you know, and everything. I mean, but they just felt so comfortable just working with your organization and any of the people who are visiting
That's
there.
great.
And
Yeah.
it
And
was
we
so
can figure
impressive. I
out-
mean, it was just such a great job. I just wanted, and they have that community garden there
Yep.
and everything. We toured that, and just everything was just, and you just know that that's why it's taking them maybe a little longer. I feel impatient with this, but the reason it does is because it has to be done right from the ground up, and then it's going to work, because it won't become a ghost town that nobody from outside wants to go to because they're afraid, et cetera, and so on. It'll be living, vibrant, full of people enjoying what you're doing.
Okay, the reason it takes long is government's never fast, and they're the ones doing construction. And creek restoration is complicated, you know, those projects.
Well, maybe this
Well-
was my interpretation then.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was the people
Okay,
part of it
that's-
being done right, so that you're not pushing something down.
Oh, well, absolutely.
what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely.
That
Which
doesn't
is-
come fast
Which
either,
is
you
why
know?
we don't want to like do a lot of segments at a time. If we want to do it right,
Yeah,
we need to,
yeah.
yeah, that's a good point, Bill.
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
That's what impressed me anyway.
And if you want to do
The
that, we
engineering
can have,
part, you know, whatever.
yeah,
but
if
the
you want to
people
do,
part,
if you
not-
want to do that
Okay.
part,
hardly
of it,
anybody does that right.
if you want to do that, we could have Gloria do that as well.
All right, well, any other questions or comments from anybody else before we close this out?
Mary does have a comment or a question. She says, is the work going on at Springfield Park part of this effort too?
So, you know, Springfield Park is contaminated, and the city is required by the Department of Environmental Protection to clean up some of that now. So it's not part of the creek restoration project. It's part of the contamination cleanup, which we will then be going and tearing it all up when we're doing restoration. But the timing is, you know, the DEP is not going to let them wait any longer to do the cleanup part. So.
Okay,
All right,
that's a good
Well,
question.
Kay, again, thank you so much. And we are certainly going to take you up on that offer for a hike, and we're very appreciative. And
Well, we don't do hikes. We do open air transport.
well, we'll take anything you can give us.
Sounds
So that'll be great.
Because if you're going to do both of them, that's a long walk.
All
Hey,
right,
thank you so much. You
Thank
are
you.
so
amazing.
much.
Thanks for having
Thank you,
me.
Kay.
Have
Wonderful.
a great evening.
You too.
Yeah, we thank you so much for doing this. Jacksonville's going on the map.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.